Not showing up yet, but
Says live on mine.
it does say live. So hopefully you guys can see us now. We're using StreamYard for the first time, just giving it a whirl before we officially upgrade. But Amy and I wanted to take a minute to discuss some of our tips and strategies that we use for being able to get along and work side by side like we do. So for us, this is normal. This is not anything new. She is not neither one of us has had a job in a really long time, but I think the last time you had a job, Amy, was back in 2016.
Mm-hmm.
So this is our everyday. This is our normal. We work together side by side. We are in each other's space all day long. And now, like, your office is right behind mine, so we get to see each other quite a bit. We have a routine that we participate in, and so this is normal. And to make that work, we've definitely had to develop some tips or some strategies that help us to get along. Because if you spend that much time with any person, you're bound to run into some disagreements and fights. And so I know with the things with people being ordered to stay at home and not being able to go to work and having a lot less freedom to do what we want and actually leave the house and go to the gym or go to yoga class or whatever the hell you do on a regular basis, we're spending a lot more time indoors. And unfortunately, there's a lot of negative consequences to that. Particularly, I just read a report today about the increase in domestic violence and child abuse, which is just awful. And so, with that in mind, we wanted to share some things that we have used that have really helped us to get along. And so one of those things, I'll start first since I'm already talking, right? One of those things is, this is an opportunity for you to develop some new habits and new routines. So normally, for most people that one or both parties work outside of the house, you never get to really have lunch together. And so one thing that Amy and I do that is really a highlight of our day, one of the highlights of our day, is we break for lunch at the same time. Either she will make lunch or I'll make lunch. And what we do is we bust out my tablet, and I have a nice little Bose speaker, and we bust out like Netflix or Hulu, and we watch something that's fun and enjoyable. So we just finished watching the entire series of Parks and Recreation. So from the very first episode, and we've been watching this for months and months. So we'll turn that on and watch it for however long it takes us to eat. We don't watch a full episode. Usually it's only about between 10 and 15 minutes. Break it in between the episode or scene, and then the next day we continue where we left off. And so that's just something that we really enjoy and we get to do every single day, is have lunch together and we watch something fun and something that makes us laugh, which Parks and Recreation is great. Find something that that was going to help increase your energy and vibration. The office or whatever you're into, find something that's funny. So then we go outside, get some sun on our faces, weather permitting. And recently we've been taking a lot of walks. And a lot of times that's after lunch, which is a great time to actually take a walk. So that's some of my tips off the top of my head about getting along with your spouse. Amy, I know you've got some stuff to share as well. So please do.
Yeah. So one thing, kind of going back to the walk thing, and I read this, when you're having tough conversations or you're having conversations that you might feel like there's going to be some resistance or some defensive, talk around what you're talking about, that these walks are a great time to have those conversations. They say that when you're having a conversation with someone and it's something that's kind of stressful and you're facing them, then you're in a defensive posture. It makes your brain feel like that you are ready to fight. And so when you're having this conversation with your partner side by side, going the same direction, holding hands, because when you're touching someone, it's physical. And so Matt's very distracting right now. So when you are having tough conversations, maybe take a few minutes to think about doing it in this form where you're not, standing off, you're not facing each other. You're actually, walking, you're getting physical exercise, which, releases endorphins. You're holding hands, which is physical touch. And it's hard to kind of have that anger and when you are touching in an intimate way, and when you're facing the same direction and you're not, facing each other, it's easier to say things that you might not say if you're looking at them, in a fighting posture. So
Yeah. In the face. Look at me in my face.
yeah. And so, I think we bring some things to the table sometimes. Or, I had a great call with a coach friend of mine, Lisa Thomas, and she's an energy healer. And she talks about, the energy that we bring. And so we, as a married couple, we have our energy swirling throughout the house at all times, right? And so not all the time are we in a higher vibration like we should be. And so, our energies affect each other. Our energies, can make the other person, have a reaction to it. And so, it's important to realize that, and Lisa says from your nose out, like 10 feet out or whatever, however long your arms are, when you come in contact with that person's energy field, you are having a reaction. You can have a reaction to their energy. And so it's important to take responsibility for the energy you bring into a room. And, when I feel sometimes, or when you feel that your partner is, upset or anxious, and you feel that it's affecting you, it's completely okay to distance yourself and say, you know what, I'm going to go for a walk, or I'm going to go in another room. Because it's hard right now when you're in a space with someone 24 hours a day, and they're going through their own emotions with what's going on with their business, with everything that's happening. It's easy to kind of feed off of each other. And so it's perfectly okay with distancing yourself from a situation or from a feeling. And you also have to be perfectly okay with someone distancing themselves from you.
Correct. Yes, that's one of the best things you can do is when you're in this negative state. It's literally just a temporary state. It's you have certain chemicals from your brain that are being released, and they will pass very quickly. And we say some really shitty things during those times, but if you just give it some space and time, and change your physiology, change your space, leave, take a walk, go do anything else, go into another room. That often is one of the best things you can do in the moment. Before I go more into that, or Amy continues with that conversation, I want to talk about some of the basics of communication, because I think this is where it all starts. I mean, if you don't understand who your spouse is or who your partner is, it's going to be really hard to have conversations and be able to communicate in a meaningful way that gives you the result that you're looking for, because nobody wants to fight. We don't want to end up in these situations where we're just so angry and so frustrated and aggravated and agitated, and everything out their mouth just makes it worse. We don't want to end up in these things. It's just a natural thing that you have to allow to give space to each other and allow each other to be human and make mistakes and get upset and have emotions. So the foundations of communication that we have found are, number one, understanding your personality type. So for me, I'm an ENTP. I'm a debater. I'm an extrovert, and Amy is just about the opposite in every single regard. So the opposite letter, it's like she's an I. I don't remember what the opposite is. Do you know what your personality type is?
I can't remember off the top of my head, but
so
yeah.
whatever there's two letters in each. She's the opposite, and she can be introverted and extroverted, but I think she mostly leans introverted. She has no problem being outgoing and out in spaces. It just mentally, energetically, it drains her. And that's what it means, introversion versus extroversion. So understanding that, I know that she doesn't like to be around a lot of people that she doesn't like for too long, because it will drain her. Me, I'm like partying like it's 1999 and getting energized as the night goes on. So the personality type, I think a great place to start for that, where you can go for free to discover what that is for you and your spouse, is 16personalities.com. So the number 16personalities.com. The other two are your love language and your tendency type. So the book, The 5 Love Languages by, I just drew a blank. What is it, Amy? Give it to me. Come on.
I just drew a blank too.
Gary,
I almost said Gary Vaynerchuk.
Chapman.
Gary Chapman, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so the 5 love languages, and discover what those are for you, how you feel loved, and how you express love. It could be two different things. A lot of time it's an indication that when you pay someone a lot of compliments, that your love language might be words of affirmation. That may or may not be true. How you express love and how you feel love may not be the same, but oftentimes it is. And so understand who you're speaking to, what your spouse and how they feel loved. And so whether it's, acts of service, words of affirmation, physical touch, quality time, and what's the other one? Who am I missing? What's the other one I'm missing? I know there's always one I'm missing. Whatever they are,
Yeah.
go read for yourself, go do some research, get the book. It's a fantastic book. It's life-changing for any couple. But I think Amy and I have figured out that beneath each one of those five is one thing. They all come back to one thing. It's consideration. You just want to feel that the other person is being selfless and considering you as a person and your needs, right, before their own. And the other one of those is tendency type. So if you're not familiar with that, get Gretchen Rubin's book, The 4 Tendency Types. I'm on one extreme. I'm a rebel, hardcore rebel, and that presents a lot of challenges for both of us, for myself included. That just means that I don't respond very well to expectations of external sources and internally myself. And so that's really where we fall with the expectations is, internally and externally. How do you respond in that way? That's going to determine whether you're a rebel, a people pleaser, a rule follower, or a questioner, right? I believe those are the 4. So Amy is different. And knowing that, we communicate differently to each other. And so when you blend all 3 of these things, it makes communication and understanding the other person so much easier. I think that's a really great place to start.
Yeah, and you have to realize just knowing all of this, though, I mean, to be real, it doesn't make them not rake your nerves. I mean, it just makes it helps you to be able to bite your tongue and to have compassion and empathy and understanding for why they're reacting a certain way. And know, like, we are not in no way perfect. We do not have it figured out every single day. We know the tools, and that is what is so hard sometimes when you are having these reactions and you're, in an argument or heated discussion, the tools. And so, and there's been many times where I'm like, I get it. I know all the tools. I'm just not feeling it right now. I'm like, I'm not in a good place. And so you got to cut yourself some slack too. But, going back to the love languages, a lot of times we research these things to figure out who we are. And we're like, see, this is why I am the way I am. So I should get a pass for the way that I act. And that is in no way what this is supposed to be either. It's important to know who you are. Absolutely. But it's equally as important to do the research on your partner and see why they are the way they are. And it'll help you be able to communicate. Matt's a rebel. I, for years, thought that he was just super difficult because I don't understand when I tell you that I need something to get done. You literally won't do it. You refuse to do it. And then I feel like I'm like, you're just ignoring me. Like what I say is not important. And so learning that he was a rebel made me have to learn how to communicate to him in a way that he could be receptive. And a lot of people are like, doesn't it just feel like a game? Isn't it exhausting? Well, yeah, but I also don't like conflict. Matt's a debater. He will fight any day of the week. I don't like it. It makes me shut down. And so in order to take care of myself and honor myself, I've learned how to communicate in a way that creates, understanding. And, it's just something that you do. If you want to be in a partnership, it's not one-sided. So you have to take care of each other. Right.
100%. And so another thing is about fighting. Inevitably, you're going to fight. You're going to have disagreements. It's just the nature of things, and you have to allow yourself the time and space to do that. And so one thing that we were getting to was that energetic, emotional, brain chemically induced state of frustration and anger. And one thing that we have developed that we use that works really well for us is a couple of key concepts. Number one is seek to understand before expecting the other person to understand you. So if you're not willing to take a second to understand where the person's coming from and why they may be upset and what might be bothering them, how can you expect them to do the same for you? Okay. And so seek to understand first. And ask yourself and them, how important is this? This is something that we learned from, God, I'm just drawing a blank today. Stephen Covey, Dr. Stephen Covey. And he used this with his wife for a long time. And he would say, where are you at on this? Because you find yourself arguing. And sometimes if you ask yourself that question, you'll realize, you know what? I don't even give a fuck. Why am I even arguing about this? Because it's not that important to me. I'm at like a 5 on this. And if she's at a 7 or 8 or higher, then clearly it means more to her than it does me. And therefore, I should give her the space to allow whatever she wants to do, right? And so that's a super important question. And the third thing is this concept of the shaken bottle. So we like to imagine that when we're all pissed off and in this really negative state where you're just like, in your mind, you're just, not yourself. You're just thinking, forget them. I don't even care. She's going to try to talk to me and I don't even care. I'm not going to talk to her. I'm going to ignore her. She's going to touch me. I'm going to get off me, right? You start saying all this stupid childish stuff, right? That's not yourself. That's not your authentic and best version of yourself. It's just because we're in this state that we need to get out of. And so if you imagine a bottle that has a bunch of sand in it, right? On the back of this bottle, when you look through it, there's this nice, beautiful ocean scene. And there's all the sand at the bottom and all kinds of particles and stuff. And when you fight, you shake this bottle up. It gets so clouded that you can't see clearly through the blue skies, right? All you see is the cloud. And during this time, it's hard to see each other and it's hard to communicate. And so the best thing that you could do is set that bottle down, walk away, and allow the sand and the dust to settle until you can see the clear skies again. And then that's the time that you can come back and try to have a more grounded, a more calmer, and more rational conversation about whatever it is that you're upset about. Give yourself that gift of time and space. Okay. So.
And this is really difficult to do. I mean, for my personality, it's taken a lot of discipline for me. Why is this every single time I'm talking, you have to like distract me? I have tiny objects.
Just look at the camera. It's fine. Don't worry about what I'm doing down here.
You guys want to see like a legit fight between Matt and I on Facebook Live? So I don't even remember what I was saying.
We were talking about the shaken bottle, and so you were gonna elaborate.
It's really difficult for me to do this because one, I get triggered when I feel like I'm being hushed or that what I'm saying isn't important. And so I'm the baby of 7. And so it's like, I want to have a voice. And so when Matt is walking away and he's just like, you know what, I'm done with this conversation, he leaves, my instinct is to be like, the hell, and just follow him and be that like, you're going to listen to what I have to say. And so over the years, and really just to be completely raw and real, over the past year, I have really honed that skill of being like, you know what, I'm just going, as hard as this is for me, I have so much I want to say, and I guarantee you it's not nice, that I am going to just walk away. I'm going to go upstairs. I'm going to just leave this. I'm going to, whatever it is, I'm going to go watch TV, because if I follow and I say the things that I want to say because I feel like I deserve to be heard, it's not going to make things better. It's only going to make things worse because I'm emotional and I feel like, I'm ready. I'm in fight mode. And so I'm not going to come off as being like, listen, sweetheart, I really want you to hear me. It's not, it's going to be like so much worse. And so to have that discipline to say, I am literally going to just stop talking and I'm going to walk away. It is really difficult to do, but it's so, so worth it to hone that skill and to be able to shut your mouth and not say the things that are running through your mind. Because when you are, I'm literally.
I just found my new toy. StreamYard allows you to put banners up on the screen. So,
oh Lord,
it's so much fun.
Like I was saying, I don't even remember what I was saying.
Oh man, you gotta stop looking at the screen. Just stare right in the camera and go. All right. So I know you were saying this is not. It's not. You're not going to be able to be your most rational and highest version of yourself while you're in this state, right? So a couple of final things, because we intended to keep this short, but I've got a few more things that I could share. One is focus on being a friend, because we could be in the middle of a fight and your best friend will call and you'll answer that and you'll be like pissed off. I'm like, motherfucking, oh, what's up, dude? Oh, hey, man. And then all of a sudden, what? You just snap out of it. You're able to just be like your best version. You're not going to be like, look, man, I'm angry right now. I'm going to have to call you back. No, you're like, oh, hey, dude, what's happening? Or she's like, oh, hey, girl. Right. And so focus on being a good friend, and just wear that hat for a moment. And to demonstrate by example how you expect to be treated. Again, I touched on this earlier, and if you're not willing to give them the time and the patience without interrupting them and allow them the opportunity to speak their mind, then you can't expect them to do the same for you. So lead by example. Go first. Be the bigger person. Go first and allow them to say what's on their mind. And, because then when it's your turn, if they cut you off, you can say, listen, I gave you the time and space to talk. Please extend me the same courtesy, right? And so that's something that you can use to, each have your own time to speak your mind. So those are my final tips. Amy, if you got anything else, let's hear it. And I won't put anything else on the stage on the screen.
I'm good, actually. I think
All
we're
right.
good. I think
Never serious. Yeah. All right. So I hope you guys found that useful. And if you would comment on this video and look forward to more videos from us, because we plan to do this a lot more. So I guess that's it for now. Hope you guys are getting along with each other and use some of these tips, and hopefully it helps you. Okay. Thanks for our shenanigans. Thanks for enduring our shenanigans. Bye for now.